Welcome to another preseason interview show here, brought to you by Farm Credit of Western Kansas on Cakeland Sports. I'm Cody Up with OpenSpacesSports.com. Joining me today is Shannon Foster, the head coach of the Wheatland Grinnell Thunderhawks. And Coach, what do you expect from this season?
I have high expectations for a group of girls that I think is really going to surprise some people in the area.
All right, you can catch more of this interview with Coach Foster of the Wheatland Grinnell Thunderhawks on OpenSpacesSports.com. And Coach Foster, we get ready to go into the season. It's always a new year. It's a lot of familiar faces, but some new faces. Wheatland Grinnell has a tradition in volleyball that runs about as deep as any school in the state, probably. How is it with your younger girls coming up, and what do you get out of your leadership as well?
Yeah, we lost a pretty good chunk of girls last year. There were 4 seniors that had played varsity at least 3, if not all 4 years. So, but like you said, we try to have a tradition and a program building year after year so that we don't have a huge drop-off. So there are some girls that were in the younger classes that are moving up into the upper classes, even some seniors, that I think they're going to surprise some people. They're going to have to take on some roles that they're not necessarily used to, but I really do think that we've got enough of a pipeline coming up that we shouldn't have much of a drop-off, if any.
When you look to leadership, which is something extremely important in volleyball, especially a vocal leader, someone on the floor, because it seems like coaches get more frustrated when kids aren't talking because it's a necessity in volleyball, I think.
Yes.
Who do you look for this year to be your leaders on the floor?
Yeah, I really do call on all of my seniors. I want them to share that role amongst each other. I have some seniors that are very vocal, and then I have others that are more lead by example types, but I think that they all do a really good job, and they have done a good job this summer of bringing all the younger kids along and helping them to understand what the expectations are for the program. So really all 6 of them. I look for all 6 of them to just take on that role in some way or another, and they're doing a good job of sharing it.
You know, when I think about volleyball, I think of the grind of this sport. This sport is you play more games in volleyball than you do in any other sport, and it's kind of a grueling long season where it's really physical with a lot of bodies on the floor. How do you stay healthy, I guess, in that regard? And when you think about that long type of a season, you guys have a pretty tough schedule.
Yeah.
I guess talk about that too.
Yeah, we put a really big emphasis on the girls being in a weight class. And I think that helps a lot. They also come in and they lift weights all summer, so that helps them to work on strength and flexibility. And then when we get in the gym, we do work a lot on technique for proper ways of diving and falling and stuff like that so that they don't get hurt. And we do a lot of conditioning. Every day, these next couple weeks will be conditioning, and we really work on building up their strength. So that way, when we do get to the end of the season and we're at the league tournament, and I've seen it happen a few years, you know, we get to the end and the other team looks gassed and we're still going. So we really do put an emphasis on it. There's been practices where I'm like, I don't want to stop drills, but we have to. We have to condition. You know, it's very, very important. So
when you look at your schedule, I think of like the beginning of the season, I always felt like the triangular with Wheatland, Grinnell, Oberlin, and Hoxie, who are 3 teams that traditionally, at least over the last 10, 15 years, have just been, that's been one heck of a way to start a season, yeah. I guess. It's been always very, very entertaining and really exciting to start the year. What do you do with this, maybe a younger group, I guess? How do you look forward to just starting the season that coming up on the 29th?
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with that triangle because like you said, it's difficult. And we know that going in. We know what we're going to expect. And sometimes, you know, we get a group in that's kind of almost in awestruck of it. And then other times, like last year, we just came in ready to go. I'm going to try not to put too much emphasis on or pressure on this group just starting out this first triangular. Because like I said, there's going to be some girls stepping into roles that they're not quite used to. But I still do think that we're gonna do well up there. But I love that we go up there and we do that triangular because I feel like at the end of it, we have a really good idea of where we're at. I know a couple years ago we had a grinder match with Hoxie, and after that match, I know some of the girls were, you know, disappointed. But at the same time, I was like, hey, you know, that Hoxie team went undefeated that year. And we knew that they were good. We knew that they had a lot of experience returning. And I said, we can look at these things that we did really well against them. And then they also helped to provide us with other areas that we could work on. And I think that's great at the very beginning of the season to get an idea of where you're at.
Something I guess interesting that's always interesting to me anyways from a volleyball coach's standpoint is, I guess, what do you feel like is the most important thing that your girls have to do to win volleyball matches? What's maybe the one key thing?
Certainly communication. Absolutely communication. It starts with all 6 on the floor and also all of them that are on the bench. It's important that everybody on the court is talking. I tell them a lot of times that the whole crowd should know that you want the ball. And I think we found that out a little bit at the state tournament last year. We kind of got, when things weren't going very well, and we kind of quit talking, and that was kind of our undoing. So that's going to be a real area of emphasis for us this year, is just to make sure that we continue talking through the good and the bad.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, but just down the road in Quinter, your sister, Allison, is coaching the Bulldogs. Now, I don't know how many times you guys see Quinter, but what is that like to be, I'm going to ask her the same thing today too, but what's that like being able to go in and coach against your sister?
You know, it's hard, honestly. It's really tough. I learned.
You don't want to just beat her to death every match.
No, I honestly don't. I mean, I do, but I don't. It's kind of like, you know, I get really confused and wrapped up in it. We played twice last year, and you know, I'm like, oh, I want to win. You know, I want to win that match, but at the same time, I don't want to see her sad.
Right.
So I'm always.
That's a good system.
I'm definitely hoping that we don't end up in the same classification, because I just don't want to see them in postseason.
Right. Yeah, that would be tough.
Because I'll want to win, but at the same time, I don't want to see her upset. So.
Right. Well, that's going to do it for the interview here with Coach Shannon Foster, the Wheatland Grinnell Thunderhawks. You can continue to follow another winning season with the Thunderhawks this year on OpenSpacesSports.com.